Hey, and welcome to Stretching Your Watercolor Paper. Now first let's go over just the supplies you'll need and the process. Supplies: you'll need a pan, a sink, bathtub, or any clean container that will hold water to soak your paper in. Just make sure it's large enough for your paper to fit comfortably. You'll need a stapler, one that opens up completely. That's a must, one that opens completely up. A backer board, that would be any stiff board that resists bowing or buckling. Tape, watercolor paper. Now the process is pretty simple. You'll place your watercolor paper in clean water and allow it to soak, or some artists just run it under the faucet and wet both sides. The reason that they do this is to remove the sizing. Removing the sizing will make your watercolor paper softer and more absorbent. So the less time you put under the water, the more sizing that will remain and the less absorbent your watercolor paper will be. And it just really depends on how you paint and what you like to do, your method. So then you'll place it on your backer board, dab off any excess water with a paper towel, staple all four edges of the paper to the backer board, and then you'll want to tape over the staples around the edges to prevent from the brush snagging on it or your hand snagging on the staples. Then you'll allow it completely to dry flat. This is very important. It has to dry flat completely or it could buckle, and that would just defeat the whole purpose of stretching it. Now next, some of you may want to know about backer boards. I'll just give you a brief thing about them. Backer boards are just used as a support for stretching your watercolor paper. You can use gator board, homosote, masonite, foam core board, or a pre-made watercolor stretcher specifically made to stretch watercolor. Now a tip: any wood type backer board such as homosote or masonite, it needs to be sealed with a few coats of gesso. Sealing it will protect your watercolor paper from any acids in the wood and prevent it from disintegrating further down the road in time. So you want to seal any wooden backer boards. Now let's just get to the process. All right, here I have a pan of clean water. See the water? See it? Okay, we can see that we have water in here. Now there's a stain on my actual pan. It's not in the water. It's not gonna, that orange is not gonna get on my paper. Make sure that it is clean water. I'm just gonna take my piece of watercolor paper and I'm gonna place it in, submerge it in this pan of water. I'm just using this pan because I have a small area that I can film in, but if you have a large piece of paper, you can even put it in the bathtub. You'll want to let it soak. I don't let mine soak a lot. I like for some of the sizing to stay because I like for some of my paint to stay on top of the paper. I don't like it to soak in and be real absorbent. Then you'll shake off the excess water once you're through soaking for however long you want, some up to 5 minutes, but we're just going to do mine a few minutes because I don't want to remove that much sizing. And then you'll place it on your backer board. I'm going to get it here where I want it. It's kind of catty-wonka, and I want it catty-wonka. And then I'm just going to take some paper towels and dab off that excess water that's on top. That could cause puddling and it could cause a little bit of a ripple effect, and I don't want that. That's the whole point of stretching your paper, so that it'll be tight and flat. Get your stapler that opens up completely, and then you'll want to staple around all four sides just on the edges of your watercolor paper while it's still wet, and you'll just go in just a tiny fraction of an inch in from the edge and put all your staplers in around all four sides. Now once you finish this, you'll want to get your tape out. Some people let their watercolor paper dry and then put the tape on. I'm just putting mine on while the watercolor paper is still wet. It's totally up to you, whichever works best for you. So then I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to tape all four sides. The reason I do this is for a couple of reasons actually. One is to keep my hands and my paintbrush from snagging on the staples. Another is to make a nice clean white border around my painting. The tape will block it off, no paint will get there, and I'll have a clean white edge all around my watercolor painting when I finish it. So those are the reasons I like to tape it off. There you have it. You'll let it dry completely flat and it'll be ready to paint.